We could have our first wintry storm system coming into Arkansas for this season. I'm 5 News Chief Meteorologist Matt Standridge. We're recording this Monday night, so there are going to be several changes. We'll have several updates from now until the weekend when that storm system does finally get here. Right now, it's sitting well off to the west. You're looking at the satellite imagery over the Gulf of Alaska. This thing is monstrous. This thing is larger than the state of Alaska itself, sitting there in the Pacific Ocean. Huge kernel of some cooler air. What this is going to do is going to move eastbound and then eventually drop to the south, create a low pressure system like one of these surface low pressure systems, and that's going to cut right across Oklahoma and Arkansas, bringing the chance for some rain and possibly some snow. This is a look at the upper level wind pattern. You see that cold air diving south, and then it really creates this kind of bulb here right there in eastern Oklahoma, western Arkansas. That does two things. First off, right there on kind of the southern end, this is more Sunday morning, but if we went back maybe one or two steps back to the west, that can actually produce some severe weather as the front's pushing on through, maybe in southern Arkansas, northern Louisiana. I'll show you some weather maps in a moment. But then on the backside, it brings all this cold air to possibly switch some rain showers over to snow showers, depending on how much cold air we can get and how quickly we can get it in here. If you get the cold air to come in, but all the moisture's out, doesn't really matter. That just means it's cold. Doesn't necessarily mean that you get snow. Here's what we're looking at. We've got the center of low pressure starting in southern Oklahoma by Friday night, moving to the north and east. How north and how east does it go? That's what we're trying to figure out. Kind of two different scenarios that we could get, or something in between. The northern track would take it, the center of the storm, would take it right north of Van Buren and into northwest Arkansas. When this happens, that keeps the cold air farther to the north, and it allows more warm air to also come to the north. So a northern track means the whole storm is warmer. That means less snowfall. If we get more of this due east track, which is more of a southerly track for us, that means more of the cold air can move farther south. So south means possibly more snow. Or we could get something in between where we get just a lot of rainfall and maybe a little bit of snow flurry activity on the backside. So if we do take this northern track, we're not going to get much in terms of winter weather. We'll just get a very cold rain. We could get some thunderstorms Friday night into Saturday morning. Once the cool air starts to arrive, it may not be cold enough to really produce much snow. It'd be a very cold rain Saturday night and into Sunday morning. We get this track, the southerly track goes right over Little Rock. That means much of northern and western Arkansas and eastern Oklahoma will be able to get some snow chances. The farther south this tracks, the heavier the snow will be and the more snow that could possibly come in. And maybe even the faster we change from rain over to some snow. That could be the case that we're talking about. So this is Saturday morning. We start off with a lot of rain. In fact, the rain technically starts probably Friday evening, right around sunset. It'll be light at first. There could be some rumbles of thunder the farther south you go. Once you have temperatures flirting with 65 or warmer, and sometimes even 60, you can talk more about severe weather chances. So when you're looking at some of these weather maps, you see some upper 50s. It's kind of on the chilly side for severe weather. You can sometimes get some baby hail if it's real cold upstairs. But better chances for severe weather will be southern Arkansas. We'll be watching temperatures in northwest and the river valley, 40s and 50s, still well above freezing. We're on the backside of some of this moisture, but once the low actually starts to track in, more rain will develop, temperatures getting colder. The question is, how quickly could they get cold? This is just one solution. This is probably our snowiest scenario. This is meaning the low pressure is probably down here towards Pine Bluff and Little Rock. If that's the case, more cold air can come in. We start switching over rain to snow late Saturday night, probably after 10 o'clock or so. We've got a lot of Christmas parades coming up this weekend. There could be chances where after the parade is done, the rain gets real cold and it starts mixing with some snowflakes. Closer to midnight, you get more and more snowflakes, and those could continue into Sunday morning. Temperatures are going to be crucial. Even if you're above freezing, you could still get some snow because it's cold enough upstairs for snow. If it's snow, it's cold, 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 and then right at the ground, we're at 36. The snowflake can still survive. So you're watching Fort Smith, we could even get some snow flurry going on. Farther south than you should go with warmer temperatures. Once you're at 37, 38, 39, it gets definitely tougher. You can also see where some of these model solutions are trying to pinpoint some of our terrain. The higher up you go, the better chance you would of getting some snow showers, especially northwest Arkansas, Boston Mountains, Kavanaugh Hill, Sugarloaf, Poteau Mountain, Mount Magazine towards Blue Mountain, much of the Ouachitas. We could have some snow on the tops, but we're not probably talking about a lot of snow because it'll be raining all Saturday first, and this whole week is really warm. So ground temperatures are kind of toasty for December. They're not hot, but they're on the warm side. So when we get scenarios like this, and you guys know some of our first snow chances that come in for a winter season usually don't impact the roads very much. And if they do, it's very temporary because it melts very quickly. Eventually, you just completely melt everything to water. But on grassy surfaces and on rooftops and on cars and mailboxes, colder, elevated surfaces could get a little bit of accumulation. Once we get closer to the weekend, we'll probably be able to figure out more of the likely track. And if it's a snowy track, then we'll have probably some information on snowfall activity, if we can even accumulate. But a lot of us probably really won't accumulate it. You at least see some snow flurries, but the heaviest accumulations, where you maybe even have the chance of coating anything, would probably be high up into the mountains. That's something we'll watch, and that's something that's going to change. And that's on a snowy track. If we don't get a snowy track, let's say this thing goes more farther to the north, and you bring warmer air farther to the north rather than the cold air, then we're not really talking about many snow chances. So what you just saw was probably our snowiest scenario. The flip side, if we're too warm, we've got thunderstorm chances. Everywhere in the yellow color shows you places where we could get some severe weather. In this type of scenario, a lot of times it could be some high hail at first, and then maybe even some tornadoes in southern Arkansas. That's something to watch out for. Because of such a mess that could be coming in on Saturday, we went ahead and put a weather alert across 5 countries. So northwest Arkansas, eastern Oklahoma, River Valley. It could be messy. If we get an in-between track where you get a little cold air, but you also get a little warm air, it could just be a cold rain the whole time with maybe a couple snowflakes mixing in here or there. In that case, it's kind of a boring system. So there's still several questions on that track. Once we really finalize that track, instead of it being maybe 100, 150 mile swath difference, and maybe it's only a 25 mile swath difference of the different scenarios, kind of like a hurricane track where you go farther out, the cone gets bigger, but once the storm finally gets closer to shore, you've got a better kind of confidence level of where we think the system's going to be. That's the same thing when it comes to these winter storm tracks. So we'll have that for you as we get closer to the weekend. Expect rain, but some of us could switch over to some snow. In the River Valley, it will be tougher, but some of us in the River Valley could also switch to snow, especially if you live in eastern Oklahoma. Sequoia County, Latimer, Haskell, LaFleur counties, we would have the better chances. Adair, Delaware, of course, as well. Something to watch out for, but Saturday's definitely a rainy day. The snow chances wouldn't take place until after dark. We'll have more updates to come.